time, and thank you for your help this morning.
You're
I
welcome.
know you wanted me to be here on time, and I made it.
Had I known, I would have done better this morning, Mr.
The
Chairman.
gentleman's recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take a moment to try to put the current moment that we live in some context. I remember soon after November elections of 2012, I began to speak to members of the Republican caucus, including you, Mr. Chairman, and we had many rich conversations about the way forward on immigration and the way forward for the Republican Party. There were times I was even chastised by members of my own party by saying, boy, you sure are a little close to those Republicans. Maybe you're being a little too helpful, Luis. And I said, no, I want to be helpful to America. And the way to be helpful to America is to be respectful to the majority of members that the American people elected to the Congress of the United States. And I always figured the guys with the most votes, right, win. And so I was respectful to that process. And so I worked really, really hard for a year and a half until the Speaker said we would not do immigration reform. And I say that only because we were working so richly in an environment in which we were moving forward. It wasn't that we were all in agreement. But how could we have come so far? I look at not only you, Chairman Sessions, but the other members, Mr. Cole, Mr. Bishop, Congresswoman Fox. I know we were all here in 2007. And when we didn't have a crisis at the border that people wanted to exploit, all of you and I, Chairman, all of you and I, and every member of this Rules Committee voted to protect the children. Every Democrat voted to protect the children. How is it that today we can show such a reversal when we had such a bipartisan spirit about protecting children that came to our borders in 2007? It was a bipartisan bill. It wasn't a Democrat or Republican bill. And yet today we want to undermine the basic fundamental protections that men and women in a level-headed environment, without a crisis to exploit politically, without a president they didn't like, without fanning the fuels of anti-immigrant sentiment here in this country. And so I've come here to say, let's not do this. We are better and we are greater, not only as an institution, but the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are greater as institutions in this nation than the bills that we have before us. To gut the very protections that men and women in the House of Representatives in 2007 unanimously decided that children should be afforded. And we all know that if that was a bipartisan bill, there was a partisan bill in 2002 when Dick Armey, your colleague from Texas, authored the bill that gave us the Department of Homeland Security. And in that bill, Dick Armey found that it was right to protect children that came to our border. That is, that within 72 hours, they should be out of the custody of a police agent. That within 72 hours, that child was supposed to be put in the least restrictive setting. That child was supposed to get their day in court. So if there was a drug trafficker, a human violation, a child that needed our country's help, that child would get their day in court. And today what we are doing is undermining by expediting and crippling the very rights that those children we thought were right under Dick Armey. I voted against the legislation in 2002 because it was a partisan bill. It was your bill. It was a Republican bill. Just think about it. It was a Republican partisan bill that dictated the very